Hello and welcome. This is the Youth Unlocked podcast, and I'm your host, Wadzanai Sansole. Now, this is the first episode of a four-part series, which is going to be broadcast in the lead up to National Youth Day 2026 celebrations that are going to be held on the 21st of February. And joining me in the studio today is the Deputy Minister of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training, Honorable Kudakwashe Mpamanga, to discuss key issues affecting young Zimbabweans and also the programs that the government has introduced to empower them. Honorable, thank you for joining us and welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure.
Great. Now, when I think Youth Unlocked, I think potential, I think youth talents, I think of the gifts they have and the expression of that, as well as the opportunities that come with that. And the overarching mandate of the ministry is to empower and develop young Zimbabweans as we know it. And this speaks to equipping them with sustainable livelihoods and self-actualization. So in your analysis, Honorable, what would you say were the ministry's major successes in 2025?
I think as a ministry, a major success was to launch the National Youth Empowerment Strategy, which was launched by His Excellency the President, Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, during our National Youth Symposium. I think what it does for us, it really, at least for ourselves, it guides us in the structure in which we want to help young people. It's been developed through consultations nationwide with young people, youth associations, and then it has been given to technocrats who have then structured it, and it fits perfectly into NDS2, which we are now in. So that is a major success because everybody knows what they have to do for young people. It's been informed by young people, and it's for young people.
So what other programs or other things did the ministry do like that you'd count as a success in 2025? I know that even as we're leading to the National Youth Day celebrations, there were other ones before that.
Yes, true. We also had our celebrations last year in Bulawayo province. They were a great success. The National Youth Empowerment Fund was also launched in the same year. We also managed to disperse over 1.5 million US dollars to small projects for young people. We also managed to bring in other players in the private sector and also in the non-governmental space to come join hands with us to empower our young people in Zimbabwe. So, yeah.
All right, and then as with anything in life, there are usually some setbacks, even when there's like a greater goal that has had its own achievements.
Yeah.
What would you say were the major setbacks the ministry faced in 2025?
I think resource constraints. We cannot ignore that budgetary constraints, they limit what we can do. But I'm also happy to say that, despite these constraints, we have innovated and brought on partners. The private sector is beginning to respond to us. Non-governmental organizations who were maybe in the past a bit wary of working with government or not really sure what we're doing, they've come in full force. We've had support, especially from organizations like the UN family. We've had serious support from them. So this has allowed us to bounce back despite the budget constraints. Yeah.
I see. Now, if we look at the National Youth Empowerment Strategy that was launched by President Mnangagwa in October 2025 and how it's anchored on 5 pillars, could you shed more light on the economic empowerment pillar? Let's start with that one.
Yeah, on the economic empowerment, it's in 2 parts. The first is to mold our young people to be able to create opportunities of employment. The second is to ensure that government, whether legislatively at policy level, they open up avenues that are specific for young people. So when we have staff turnover in government departments, in parastatals, we want them to put youth as a preference for employment, and then capacitation of youth to create employment. Mm-hmm. So that's what we're talking about when we're in the economic cluster. Yeah.
Would you say a lot of youth are aware of this?
We're trying our best. I think that's also a challenge, to be honest. We'd launched the strategy, but even myself personally, when I talk to young people, whether here or in the village, some are not aware. I think one of the key things that we have to do as a ministry this year is to disseminate enough information right to the grassroots, mm-hmm. Where most of our young people are, in the rural areas as well. so that they are aware of the opportunities available to them, the policies that are directed specifically for them. This is a major role of the ministry that we'll undertake this year.
I see. Then there's the education and skills development, Honorable Mpamanga. What particular gaps has the ministry noticed in this area, and how do you plan on filling those gaps and addressing some of the issues that come with it?
Yeah, when we talk about skills, we're talking about vocational skills. Let me say mabase maoko, but not really limited to that. We've also encompassed digital skills on that. Because if we are expecting, or if we want young people to create opportunities, they have to be skilled. So we've also noted that a lot of our young people, the majority of youth, they do not complete the traditional education pathway, which is your primary to high school to university. So the question was to us, like, okay, those youths that drop out at primary or high school, where are they now? So in order to be inclusive, we are promoting skills development. So we have vocational training centers all over the country where young people can go and be taught skills from building to metalwork, woodwork, fashion and design, tourism and hospitality that make them employable. And if employment is hard for them to get, it allows them to start their own companies. If they come together and form syndicates, they can actually employ each other. They can make for themselves a future. Yeah.
Okay, so for those that have taken that route, are they like little hubs where they can actually come together and better their skills and network and things like that?
Yeah, there are few. We have been working with developmental partners to start creating these hubs at Shagasha Vocational Training Center. We're working on we also launched the Rua Vocational Training Center. We're also moving on to Mount Hampden and other vocational training centers, so that they can always come back for refresher courses. We also are integrating our own systems so that as they are training in these skills, the Empower Bank, which is a bank dedicated to youth, is also there giving them financial literacy and also linkages with other organizations that capacitate youth to achieve.
All right. And then the third pillar, technology and digital transformation. I'm sure you can agree that the youth are the ones that are mostly dominating on social media and using up their time in different ways, but mostly on social media. And they've gone beyond being tech savvy to actually just like dominating social media. Yeah. What's the ministry's plan like in terms of looking at the technology and digital transformation of the youth in Zimbabwe?
Yeah, thank you.
And even how they regulate themselves.
Yeah, social media is it's an interesting phenomenon because on the one hand we have young people who have managed to use social media to be very progressive, to be very productive, to be able to enhance their knowledge, to be able to market their businesses, and create content or material that has also helped other young people. On the other hand, just like any other nation, we also suffer from a crisis whereby we have young people who are just, I think the term is doom scrolling. They're trapped in this cycle of being on social media without any productivity coming out of it. We've got to a point where we now have new mental health disorders that are related to social media. Where words like body shaming, these only developed recently through social media. So there's that element where we need to guard young people so that they are safe on social media, but also encourage them so that they can actually make something of their time on social media. So in regards to digital skills, we've partnered with organizations like Uncommon. We've partnered with the United Nations Development Program to create innovation hubs. We also partnered with ZB Bank in the Rural Vocational Training Center that I mentioned, so that when they're going on these, when they're using in the internet space or in the cyberspace, they're also being taught how to make websites, how to become virtual assistants, how to be able to bring value to businesses that are existing already, whether in the marketing field or within their own field. Some young people have a skill, they are motivational to other young people. So being able to use that social media time to motivate others, to talk about youth issues, and to get those youth issues to the relative authorities, to other organizations, to bring awareness. So it's work in progress.
All right. Now let's move on to the governance pillar. What is the ministry targeting as the ultimate outcome for this?
I think when it comes to the governance pillar, the ministry will largely lean on the legislative agenda at Parliament in terms of our youth bill, our national youth policy, in terms of trying to make sure that we have more young people in positions of responsibility, in positions of decision making. I think as a government, the president has done a lot himself. His Excellency has ushered in young ministers, he's ushered in young heads of parastatals. So it's now the job of these ministries, especially ours, to then start looking for official quota systems that come from a legislative agenda so that we ensure that young people are put in these positions, so that it's always good when young people are deciding for other young people than people who are not so young telling them what to do. So that's what we're pushing.
I see. Well, this is the Youth Unlocked podcast. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the Youth Unlocked podcast with me, Wadzanai Sansole, and I am having a conversation right now with the Deputy Minister from Youth, the Ministry of Youth, Honorable Kudakwashe Mpamanga. And earlier on, I hope you were listening, he was talking about some of the strides the ministry has taken in terms of the successes the ministry has taken, of the things that they've brought for the youth and opportunities and things like that. Now, Minister, I must say, there's still this lingering issue of unemployment in the youth at the moment, that someone can listen and say, okay, so you've mentioned that you've brought up these hubs, there's these things that you've brought into place, the vocational training and all of that, but still high numbers of unemployed youth. What would you say to that, and what's your assessment of that situation?
I think, yes, we still have the challenge of youth unemployment. I think also the challenge is not so black and white. There is unemployment in terms of formal employment, but a lot of young people are in informal employment. They're not regularized. They're not compliant maybe with the laws of the country in terms of being registered as young people who are actually making a living. But we have found through working with Zimstats that the figures of official unemployment are high. But informal employment is where most young people are. So the challenge for us as a ministry and the challenge for us as a government, even as a society, is how we bring our young people from that informal sector to become formal and to also contribute to the national fiscus. I think it's a multi sectorial challenge, not just for the Ministry of Youth, but also other sister ministries, on how we can incentivize young people to come into the broad-based economy. Young people, through our research, have expressed issues like the fees are too high, whether it's young people in mining trying to start out, or compliance fees for certificates, or for you to be part of PRAS for tenders and stuff like that. So it is something that we are working on, and even as we come up with solutions for that, it's not a one size fits all. It's about us as parliamentarians as well, making sure we have legislation that we're not saying that young people shouldn't pay to enter a particular industry, but what we want is some breaks for them. If we're able to give tax breaks for investors, for example, foreign direct investment, we are also looking at that for our young people to be able to enter a particular marketplace. Not that they don't pay, but maybe we can spread their payment out. It becomes more feasible for young people. We also have the Zimbabwe Youth Council, which is there to help young people to become compliant. They will do the running around for young people, just like how ZIDA helps investors coming in. ZYC is there and mandated to help young people who want to get their business that is already running into the formal and mainstream economy.
Yeah. All right. And then this issue of unemployment is also one of the contributing factors to the high rise in drug and substance abuse and crime levels and all of that. So let's talk about the health and well-being of the youth. What strategy has the ministry devised to deal with this, specifically the drug and substance abuse, which is becoming a menace right now in society?
Yeah. Drug and substance abuse is a serious challenge for us in Zimbabwe. I would say unemployment has been high in Zimbabwe for a long time. The country has gone through over 2 decades of economic sanctions. So the issue of unemployment has been an issue for a long time. However, drug and substance abuse is relatively younger than unemployment. And that suggests that unemployment is not leading to drug and substance abuse. It is a contributing factor, but the phenomenon of drug and substance abuse is not directly or correlated to unemployment, like I hear many people say. So the issue of drug and substance abuse is an independent phenomenon on its own that needs us to address the issue. It's about young people. That is why we have a pillar about well-being. It's about the spaces that young people exist from when they're early childhood until they become the responsibility of the ministry at the age of 15. It's a question for us as a whole society of how we are conducting ourselves in our families and in our communities, and our ethos as a people, as Zimbabweans and as Africans. So yes, I know it's, I wouldn't call it lazy. I know it's the easy argument to say the youth are doing drugs because there's no employment. But unemployment has been there for over 20 years. It has been high. The figures are there, the statistics are there. But drugs have only recently started in the last 10 years. That's where, and as we are trying to address that, we are not addressing it alone as a ministry. There's the drug and substance abuse arm that was launched by His Excellency last year as well, headed by the Minister of Defense, and youth is a major pillar of that. And what our mandate is demand reduction. So we then speak to what can we get youth to do so that they don't feel like going into drugs, where it's unemployment that's causing them to go into drugs, or whether they have actual issues, mental health issues. These are things that we need to talk about. So it's about creating safe spaces for young people to be able to express themselves. We don't do that alone. We do that in conjunction with the Ministry of Sport, Arts and Recreation as well. So together in the demand reduction pillar, we try to get youth into sport, youth into businesses, youth into art, so that they have that level of expression and they have that side that we cater for, which is engagement, which is economic. Yeah.
All right. What's the budget for the implementation of the National Youth Empowerment Strategy, and how is it being financed?
Yeah, the budget will come from Treasury mainly, but like I alluded to earlier, we do have budget constraints. So what we did as a ministry was really open ourselves up to other players within the industry. We actually found out through research that there's a lot that's going on for young people out there, and it's not only just with the Ministry of Youth. All ministries are doing things for young people. But what I think it is that we need to all come together and be able to communicate and disseminate enough information out there. Within that non-governmental space, there's a lot happening there. Scholarships, empowerment packages, loans. Even when you look at the government as a whole, if our demographic is saying that 67% of our population is 35 and below, it means that when we're talking about farming, which will be the preview of the Ministry of Lands, we're talking about young farmers. If we talk about mining, those that we call makorokoza, those are young people. So it's about us being able to, not just about us using our budget as a ministry, but also integrating with other ministries so that we are working as one. I'm happy to say that as early as today, I was at a cabinet committee meeting preparing for the National Youth Day, and we had all government ministries in there. Everybody's playing their role. The Ministry of Education is there, the Ministry of Transport is there, Home Affairs is there, and we're all discussing how we can make this day. So there's rehabilitation centers. It's not the preview of the Ministry of Youth, but we are saying that for those young people who are suffering from drug and substance abuse, those are the centers that will be there. So it's about interconnecting the ministries, working for and with young people. Yeah.
So let's talk about this year's National Youth Day celebrations. Mm-hmm. Where are they being held, and what are the objectives this year?
This year's celebrations are in Mashonaland East, near Marwendera, 24 kilometers outside Marwendera, in a place called Igawa, Vocational Training Center. And the beauty about this year's celebrations is that as we celebrate, it would also be a groundbreaking for a new vocational training center and youth service center in Igawa that will be officiated by His Excellency the President, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, on the day. As well as prior to his arrival, there will be a jobs fair. So all ministries, agencies, departments will be there. They will be displaying what they have on offer for young people. So young people can literally walk in there on the day, leave the day with information, with brochures, some with opportunities. I don't want to reveal secrets, but some will even get hired on the day. That's what we have planned on the 21st.
Okay. And then you did say earlier on that you usually evaluate the other celebrations soon afterwards before planning the next one. Mm-hmm. So what's your post-event evaluation of the ones you've had before in terms of measuring against the objectives you had for those celebrations?
Yeah. Well, let me begin by saying that the National Youth Day first started as the 21st February movement, or the Robert Gabriel Mugabe National Youth Day. So it was largely a celebration that was directed and held under the ZANU-PF Youth League. So with the coming in of the Second Republic, His Excellency the President, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, decided that youth is a major demographic it is to the youth that we seek to have the engine room for the development of the nation. So to make it inclusive, it became the National Youth Day. So it's not a party program, it's a national program for all young people. So assessing over the last celebrations, we've grown the program from it's the yesteryear where it was just the youth league to have the youth league still there, but have youth societies, youth organizations, any young person who wants to know what exactly is going on has a chance to take part in it, to come and see, to get involved.
And then as we close, let's just talk about the National Youth Service. And I think for the benefit of someone who may not know what it is, so just to start by saying, what is it and what innovations has the ministry put in place to enhance this program so that it can also match global standards?
True. So the National Youth Service is a program that we have for young people, rebranded. It's no longer the National Youth Service. It's actually called the Youth Service in Zimbabwe. Rebranded under His Excellency's direction, mainly to move away from the bad reputation that it had previously, the Green Bomber era. So it's an empowerment program to take young people, whether qualified, unqualified, as long as you're within the ages of 15 and 35, that you don't pay for, to participate in the building of their nation. So the program is split into two parts where young people, after applying and entering the program, they undergo physical training, orientation, civic responsibility. They get taught about the history of the nation. They get taught about our cultural values as Zimbabweans. And after that, they go onto a phase of skills development. So they then get skills imparted to them through our vocational training centers, with the hopes that as they leave the program, they are firstly a priority for employment into government and its agencies, departments and parastatals. Secondly, the skills that they would have got will allow them to start their own businesses or syndicate to start clubs and community initiatives. I think that over the years, the program is growing, and we're happy that ministries are finally understanding, system ministries are finally understanding, and they are now coming on board and offering vacancies to young people. It was slow at start. I think it frustrated the first intakes, but we are definitely on the right path now, and everyone is moving together.
Great. Thank you very much, Honorable Mpamanga, for coming through to discuss the various issues that are affecting the young people of Zimbabwe today.
Thank you so much.
Great. This is the Youth Unlocked podcast, and we've come to the end of this first episode of a 4-part series where we will be talking about the various things that young people of Zimbabwe have been facing and looking at what the government has introduced to empower them. And today I was having a conversation with the Deputy Minister, Honorable Kudakwashe Mpamanga, from the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Development and Vocational Training. Be sure to catch us on the next episode. I'm your host, Wadzanai Sansole.